You know me, I usually dilly-dally at the beginning of videos, but what did you think? We do not have time for that today. Why am I wearing a bonnet? That's really none of your business. Anyways, I'm starting a series, and for today's video, here are 5 tips for your social life at boarding school, because we both know you're lonely. You will meet people that you think are better than you, whether it's they have better grades or they have like a jam-packed resume before coming to boarding school. They've traveled more places than you've traveled. Maybe you think they have more money. Maybe it's even their looks. And I don't think it's inherently bad to think this person, I think it's better than me. I think it's a normal part of coming to boarding school, besides culture shocks that you would have depending on ethnic, cultural, or racial demographic that you're coming from. You will also meet people and go, hey, they're pretty cool. You kind of have the choice whether you're going to let that intimidate you or you're going to let it encourage you. As humans, we can already be naturally competitive, especially when someone has something that we don't have. Boarding school is already a new environment for you. You're meeting a bunch of different people. However, if these are the things that you dwell on at boarding school, what they have and what I don't have, and you're so focused on everyone else, you're eventually going to make yourself unhappy. So while you can acknowledge that maybe you feel threatened by first glance, okay, that's a human feeling. Maybe you feel jealous, that's a human feeling. But don't dwell on those feelings and honestly just focus on you. You got into this school for a reason. Did you not? Or did you not apply? Did you not interview? Remember all the value that you told your interviewer that you're bringing to this school. Remember who you are. That's the beauty of going to boarding school. That's the beauty of living. No one is the same. And that should be your strength. Okay, now let's talk about friends. Who doesn't like those? If any of my shots or like lighting looks weird, I'm experimenting with using the back camera. I usually use the front camera to film anyways, I don't really owe you an explanation. It's fine. Not to be rude, not to be rude, not to be rude. You will make friends. Like, you probably already know that, but if you're nervous, you will make friends. And even people that you may consider your family. So don't worry about that. This connects to knowing who you are. So definitely do not compromise your values for friends, even if it's in the smallest bit, because that can build up to something even bigger. So don't compromise your values. Don't force friendships. They will happen very naturally. And if something feels forced, then it's probably not right. Give time to the people that you care about and that give you energy. If you're a people pleaser, it'll probably manifest in your friendship. So that's something that if you recognize it, you should definitely work on that, because, you know, our self-esteem shouldn't come from other people's approval, as you know. And lastly, don't isolate yourself from people that you don't consider your go-to friends, you know, people that you don't hang out with every day. I'm not saying go up to every person and be like, hi, hi, hi. Like, you know, you can relax. You can relax. You can chill. But don't be afraid to sit with someone new for lunch, like grab dinner with someone else. You're at boarding school, you're in a new environment, you're growing. Why limit yourself with only the same group of people? There are different levels of friendship. Not everyone is going to be your best friend, and some people would just be acquaintances, and that's just totally fine. Let's talk about clubs. You can join a club because you're passionate about what the club is about, whether it's business, entrepreneurship, cooking, a dance club, or whatnot. There are cultural clubs, you know, appreciating the culture of a certain group of people. There are affinity groups, and most of those are under OMA, which is the Office of Multicultural Affairs. So basically we have Black Students of Excellence, we have Asian Voices, we have La Alianza Latina, we have ALDS, which is, I think it's Afro Latinx Exeter students or something like that, but there's just a bunch of clubs. You can join clubs if you want to try something new that you've never done. Some of the clubs that I'm a co-head of are African Students Association and Afro Shade, which is an Afrobeats dance club. So clubs are great for all these reasons, but going back to number 2, you can also find friends at these clubs or just connections. Something you should be careful of. The way my school does it is there is some sort of club fair at the beginning of the year, which is really, really exciting. People always told me going into boarding school that I would experience that thing. I want to join this club, I want to join this club, I want to join this club. And you end up burning yourself out. While that sounds great, well, I mean, burnout is not great, but you know, what I wish someone would have told me and what I'm telling you now is be very careful. You don't have to have your whole life figured out or your career set in stone, but before you join a club, you should already have an idea of what you want to do. You don't have to be one thing, but don't just join a club on a whim. Don't just say yes to too many things, because it'll leave you feeling burnt out, especially as your responsibilities start to increase throughout the years. And before you know it, boom, a year is gone, boom, 2 years is gone. Don't take on too much to the point where you're like, I can't balance the amount of clubs I do in my academics, because your academics should always come first. Just make sure that whatever club you're doing is aligned with not only something you're passionate about, but something that you can push into a future career. Of course, you know your relationship with staff is important in any high school environment, but the reason boarding school is very different is because you're not just interacting with teachers, you're interacting with custodians, interacting with the D hall staff, you know, your college counselors, adults that you just see walking on the paths, your teachers' families. There's so much more staff to meet at boarding school, and I would say that that really adds to the feeling of boarding school being a home away from home. Besides your friends, you have support systems that are adults, you know, your advisors, your teachers, people that make food for you, people that mow the lawns at your school, people that clean the buildings at your school. You can just start with saying hi, and I've made a lot of great connections from just that first hi. What's your name? How are you doing? And it's honestly really great. So that kind of ties into not limiting yourself with who you talk to. You don't have to be a social butterfly. You can also, you know, spend time with yourself, but just be open-minded. Dorms. So dorms are really important socially. They're kind of like a home base, and if you're really lucky, they can feel like a family. I've met some of my closest friends in my dorm. At my boarding school, Phillips Exeter, we have gendered dorms. So there are girls' dorms and there are boys' dorms. We also have gendered homes, so just smaller versions of dorms. And then we also have all gender dorms, or all gender homes. Well, we call them houses. Okay, going back to the social aspect, there are boarding students and there are also day students. So students that live in the area and they commute from home to school. Living in a dorm, there are dorm traditions that either the staff or students themselves have created from years and years and years ago. And there's also, on a whim, getting dinner together as a dorm or as a dorm floor, just going out to eat, spilling tea in somebody's room, asking for advice, making ramen in the kitchen, taking out your friends' raves. And if you're blessed, you can have a great roommate, good roommate dynamic, and you guys can even be friends, which is really cool. Dorms are definitely a huge part of social life. So many different traditions for every dorm. And also my school has this thing called dorm teas, which is basically when each dorm gathers together to spill the tea, has a specific date, usually during spring term. You just bring a date, you know, the dorm puts up decorations. It's usually outdoors, it can be indoors too. But there's music, there's food, there's nice outfits or whatever, and you can bring a date to the dorm tea. It's pretty cool, I guess. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that these 5 tips will really help your social life at boarding school, because we both know you need the help. Like, don't lie to yourself. That's why you clicked the video. Hope it was helpful, and subscribe. Duh. What did you think?